Cool.
Did y'all see the California weather thing?
No.
Like how they're just getting drowned right now?
Bro, first of all, California's gone through a drought for the last, 12 years.
Yeah.
Where it's like threat level midnight. They don't know if they're going to have any water.
Yeah.
And farmers, it's like the biggest beef in California, farmers versus the people. So farmers need water.
Yeah.
California, if you didn't know, farmers need water. California's one of the biggest ag export in the world. So they need a shit ton of water. Mm-hmm. So they have these aqueducts that come from Northern California that bring water down to the rest of California. Mm-hmm. So they were bringing water, everything's Gucci. And then an old environmentalist went and found a small fish in the aqueduct. And this fish isn't native to California. Someone brought it there. It's an invasive species. So that constitutes it as being endangered because it's they're so rare in California because they're not from there. And so they went and they got it protected. And there's huge water fights in California, at least a decade ago, right? Where they're fighting the environmentalists to get water. Farmers need more water. They're shutting off. So water's been such an issue. Someone in chat just said the Delta smelt. That's the fish.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, he smelta it. Anyway, then out of nowhere, over the last weekend, I can't remember what it's called, but they are getting
dude.
A bomb cyclone.
That's
there
what
is
it's called?
huge.
That's a technical term.
It's one of the terms they're using, throwing around right now.
That's a Dragon Ball Z
something.
move.
It's like atmospheric river is what I saw. It's over the ocean.
I've heard that one too.
That's a Dragon Ball Z move.
Is that where he's like, "Give me your power"?
Yeah, because he's charging it up for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
10 seasons, 10 episodes. Yeah,
yeah,
in California, and then he finally hits it down. It's because everyone's having anal sex in California.
The sin is definitely
it's a Californication,
and it's hitting San Francisco the hardest. So yes, you're correct.
It's
sin.
Punishing the gays.
Yeah, God be doing that, man. It's crazy. No, it's called a atmospheric river. So over the Atlantic or over the Pacific Ocean, apparently there is water in the air that's close to the amount of the Mississippi River or some shit. And it's just floating over the ocean in the air. And every once in a while, every 100 years or decades, it just blasts California. So this has happened 100 years ago. And the last time it happened, it Sacramento up, it old San Francisco up, destroyed everything. And they were like, wow, that's bad.
Atmospheric river.
Yep.
So they're like, that's bad. We need to put infrastructure in to make sure that never happens again because it devastated California. Mm-hmm. So what they did, they had two options. They were like, we can either put really dope river walkways around all the natural rivers in California. So there's trees and things to hold the water, or we can turn all of our rivers and put cement on the bottom. And they chose cement. So the LA River, how it's just a huge cement river.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what they chose. And it does not help. It makes everything worse, apparently. So anyway, it's happening again. And they're very worried. If you zoom in on California, it's getting blasted. San Francisco's flooded. The whole... the middle of the coast in San Francisco, what's that shit called? I don't know why I'm blanking.
Slow and stuff.
Blasted. Everything is flooded. Everything's getting destroyed. Sacramento's getting flooded and destroyed. And so someone zoomed in and you can see on the weather app, you can see it's all coming in, right? And then they slowly zoom out. And as they zoom out, it gets wider and wider. And it's red here, and then it gets purple and then black over the Pacific Ocean, and all that shit's coming to California.
Sick.
So they might get blasted. All of that to say, Brittany's internet has been slow because it's storming. So we need to remember to cut up the video so she could download these things. That's happening in California right now. Pray for California. They need the rain. It came. Some of y'all prayed too hard because God listened, and now he's smiting the ass.
Flooding the Central
water.
Valley, dude.
Yeah. I mean, we live in Utah. We never get any rain, so
it's been raining here.
We're the chosen ones, right?
Oh, there you go, dude. Correlation, causation. Yep. It's a fact. Guys, I wanted to talk about how there's a lot of different ways we get our stories, but one of my favorite ways are when things fall into place or coincidences happen. And this has happened several times before where We went on a trip. Someone remembered a story. It had something to do with like fortune telling. And then I go to work and one of my coworkers like, I have a story and it has to do with fortune telling. So things like that happening, right?
Yeah.
This last week, I've had 3 of those. And I'm excited because they're going to be upcoming episodes. The first one, DJ, did you get a text from our boy Tristan?
Yeah, I did. I'm so sorry, Tristan, if you're watching. I haven't replied yet. But
No,
that was
all
this
good.
morning, yeah.
So if you guys haven't listened, Tristan. If you guys haven't listened, we have a friend named Tristan Stevens who came on. It's Tristan Stevens on Hmong culture. And he shared arguably like one of the most impactful episodes we have as far as like story and the human story and survival. And
Real ass terror.
Yeah. So if you haven't listened to that, definitely go listen to those. It's 2 parts. It's awesome. He has slowly been grinding and getting stories.
Okay.
And he said his aunt just visited and she just dropped a ton of stories on him. So he's like ready to go. So he's ready to come back on. But he said, my aunt stayed on the Queen Mary ship.
What? For real?
That's haunted. He said that today. Do you guys remember what text I sent last night?
Did you send a text last night?
What did you send last night?
I did. I talked about... No. It's going to be back a while, but it's the... Joe Rogan just had a couple dudes on his podcast who talked about their paranormal investigation on the Queen Mary ship.
I didn't know
And
that
I
was
was
the
like,
subject
yo,
matter.
I said, we should cover the Queen Mary ship because Rogan's talking about it. It's going to get hits.
Yeah.
And then Tristan texted that. And I was like, dude, crazy. Second, I come into work the other day. I'm talking to a coworker I haven't seen in a long time because I've been working at home because of baby's health. And he goes, bro, I just got back from Alaska. And I was like, we were talking about how dope Alaska is. And then he knows we have a Scary Stories podcast. So he's like, dude, you should cover Port Lock. And I was like, what is that? And he described what happened. And it's an insane story that we're going to cover soon.
What, Port Lock, Alaska?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I kid you not, 2 days later, one of our listeners or a new listener who found us on TikTok messages us, and we message everyone. If you have a story, we'd love to hear it. And immediately they reply back and they're like, have you guys ever looked into Port Lock, Alaska? Out of nowhere, it just says that. And I get chills. And I told him, I was like, I can't believe you're texting this. I just talked to someone about it. And the coworker I have, he has photos and his in-laws live near Port Lock and they have some artifacts that they like, that come from around Port Lock. And so that's coming up soon.
Bro.
It's dope. I'm excited. And then the last one, I've been following AI art and the potential that AI has to like change graphic design and art and in general marketing, things like that. Have you guys been keeping up on that, DJ? Ren?
I have, just because it's related to me.
Yeah. It's very interesting. It's it feels like a wave is coming, and if you don't catch it early, it's going to pass you. But despite your feelings, one of our listeners, he's been following for a really long time. He's a Brazilian artist. His name is Rafael Sarmento.
Yep.
Rafael Sarmento. He's a Brazilian artist, insanely talented, and has a ton of followers. So when he first started following us when we were small, like no time. So if someone followed us and they had more than like 1,000 followers, we were like, who the hell's this? You know what I mean? So this guy's like decently big time down in Brazil, an amazing artist. And he's been really, really vocal about AI art and what it's going to do to the industry. Like he posts a ton of stories on it. I think he's like talked to people about it. They've had discussions and recorded it and produced it. Mm-hmm. So I'm like watching his input. He's from Brazil. This is coming up. I'm really trying. I messaged him and I was like, you know, we should really work on something. Try to maybe have you come on and do an episode. We could talk about Brazil. And then that night, a listener who's listened to us for over 2 years sends in a story about them backpacking in Brazil and having a crazy ass experience. And so those 3 things at once, I was like, all right, we have our Brazilian episode. So we're planning that.
Damn, bro.
That's crazy because I started a new job in November, and I haven't told anybody like about the podcast. I usually don't like I solicit my entire life via the podcast, but in real like IRL, I don't talk at all. So I'm at this new job, and I have a couple friends who are already working there, like close friends. So of course they know.
Well, dude,
And-
sharing the podcast with coworkers is like super vulnerable because we on here not acting like coworkers.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah. So when coworkers finally find my podcast, I feel like I have to apologize. Anyway, so it finally gets out recently, and a handful of people are listening to it. Like one of the executives
Oh shit!
messaged me on Discord like early this morning, like 7 a.m. He's like, I just finished 3 episodes this morning. It's like, dude, it's 7 o'clock. And you already listened to 3 full episodes.
You've been up since 3 a.m.
Yeah. And he was like, we were talking at work today, and he says, I grew up outside of Skinwalker Ranch. And
Is
my
that
family still
Duchesne?
lives there. Yeah, like near Duchesne.
Or is it Duchesne? How do you say it, Sean?
It is Duchesne, but I call it Duchesne.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, he grew up there. He still lives there. Like during the week, he lives at the office. Our office it's a dope office. It has like a ton of rooms, and it's outfitted for if somebody wanted to live there. And then he goes home on the weekends, has his wife and kids. But he is like, yeah, all growing up, all we had was stories. And so many people. He said, I've already started reaching out to people. I've reached out
For
to
stories?
Yeah, he's like, I've reached out to Big Jim, who had like the cattle
Big Jim?
mutilations.
Big Jim.
I reached out to like my childhood best friend who we like encountered like crazy things with. And I've reached out to people who I know, like they have like photo video evidence, and I'm trying to get that. And like, I was like, dude, we're going to have you on the podcast.
He's gonna put us on the map, dude. If we do like a well produced with like video and shit and like firsthand stories, that will blow.
Yeah.
That's so sick. That's crazy. I just watched a brief. I've never been really intrigued with Skinwalker Ranch. I'll be honest, because of the TV show. I think it kind of f***ed up my perception of it.
The Hunt for the Skinwalker?
Because
I don't know.
It feels conflated, the documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I fell asleep during that, and I don't fall asleep during movies. So
It's not a movie. I'm talking about like the series on like History Channel, where it's like right after Ancient Aliens and right
Yeah.
before like whatever. It's like Skinwalker
documentary.
Ranch.
okay, there's a documentary movie that I'm talking about
Oh,
that I
okay,
fell
okay.
asleep. I
don't know. I've just seen clips and it's really turned me off to it. But recently I looked at the history of Skinwalker Ranch, and the history is very intriguing. Like how it became cursed and like what went down there between the Navajos and the Utes and the white settlers. So like that could be really interesting. Does he have any plans on like getting back to you or anything?
I mean, I see him at work all the time. Like
Ooh,
in office.
he's your executive. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, you're fired. Let's record an episode. Interesting. Well, that's exciting. Hopefully we can get him on. We really do need to schedule. We have like 4 or 5 people who want to come on as guests.
Yep.
So we need to get that done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sean, anything with you?
You mean like coincidences and like stories coming up?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I don't really talk to people, dude.
Sweet.
I'm about this close from being a hermit at this point.
Oh my gosh. Dude, that used to be like a paying job in England at one point. Is to be a
Damn.
hermit on a rich person's property.
Catch me moving to freaking England then. I'm gonna be a hermit, bro.
Sean, you said someone at work said they had a story.
I did get a story from someone at work.
Oh.
But I'm gonna share that at the end. Because I'm not gonna lead off with my best one.
Yo, what are your guys' cry movies?
Cry movies?
I have 2.
Yeah? Specifically 2 that come straight to mind?
Yep. Potentially 3. You go first. I'm not crying. You're crying.
You go first.
Yeah.
I was just bringing it up because last night we watched The Whale.
Oh, dude, that one's supposed to be a real tearjerker, dude.
Oh, dude. It was heavy. I was close, but that movie's just... I didn't. I was welling up, but it was just such a crazy movie, dude.
Is it worth watching?
Yes. I liked it. It's a very you have to be in the mood. You have to be in the right frame of mind to watch it. Like I was prepped going
I'm too
into
fragile lately, dude.
I get
I can't
it.
take anything in right now.
I get it. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's I swear one of the main criteria of A24 films when they're shopping around for movies and shopping directors and whatever and stories to turn into films I swear their main criteria is like there has to be like real human element of like connection, or like all of their movies feel real, all the genres, whether it's like coming of age, slice of life, or horror, or like political. They're all something that we're such on their dick, dude. We're like super on them.
Yeah.
Not shamed about it either.
You don't have any that just make you blubber, dude?
Dude, Soul. I lost it with Soul.
Disney Pixar one.
A lot of it because it was very relevant to me with music. And that Main Street Wendy's in St. George. I haven't watched it since.
Really?
Because you tried too hard?
Because I was sobbing in the credits, dude, of Soul, Pixar's Soul. Another one that like makes me tear up is a Warrior.
Dude, that one's so good.
Warrior is such a good film. That's that's my second favorite sports movie.
What's your first?
What's your first?
The one and only.
Remember
Jamaican
the title.
bobsled team.
Hey.
Oh, okay.
The other blacks.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you.
Who was I listening to? But they were talking about remember the Titans has the craziest story arc? It's like the first day, the whole town is like, we hate them blacks. And all they do is who is it?
Shane Gillis.
Yeah, Shane Gillis. Yeah, and he's like, and they win a football game 3 days later.
All right.
And everyone's like, oh, we love these guys. Yeah, they're not that bad.
These are brothers.
These are brothers.
Yeah. He's like, football like cured racism. It's true. Just get people to be good at sports. And it's like, everyone's like, all right, you know what? You're not half bad.
So crazy. I don't know. Those are the main ones that come to mind, I think.
Dude, 2 that make me cry. Have you ever seen About Time?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude. I watch About Time. Guess where?
Where?
In the hospital, in the ICU.
Oh, bro. Talk about setting, dog. God was like, you need this before
like
you
I
leave
said,
this
my
earth.
guy, when in Rome, you know?
Yeah. About time. What time, dude? You're on your way out. That shit is crazy. Who watches movies in the ER? Dog?
Hey, it's like those parties they've been having where you're in the pool, when you're in the pool and everyone's watching Jaws. I'm like on my oxygen tank and I'm like watching About.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That
movie,
one. Wait, About Time is the one with Rachel McAdams and Ed Sheeran?
And
Close.
Percy Weasley.
Percy Weasley? Yeah.
Yeah. Bro, that movie bends me over emotionally and just has its way with me. I bawl every time. Just everything coming together and the messages and the moments and oh my gosh, dude, I'm getting emotional right now, bro. I can't handle it. It makes me so sad. It's just like, I don't know. It's not sad. I don't know what the feeling is. It's like, you gotta cherish every minute, dude. I walk away being like, damn, I take everything for granted. I need to do better. And then the second one is Hook.
Oh.
That one
Robin
brings
Williams.
you to tears, dude?
Yeah,
Look at this guy cry shaming. This guy who never this guy who has zero emotions.
Yeah. Sean's like, I laughed through Passion of the Christ.
Every time they drove that nail in the
because I
hand.
have emotions. Yeah.
But I did laugh through Hereditary.
Oh my gosh, I know, you freaking psycho. No, dude, yeah, there's just moments in Hook that are so tender, and especially now seeing it because of fatherhood. It's even more touching, dude. I just have like a deeper understanding than you guys now because I have a child. You know what I mean?
I'm just better than you guys now.
Yeah.
The fact that you won the New Year's draft with fatherhood.
Get that.
Bro, I went and hung out with Audrey and Laura, and they said that part had them howling because I was like fatherhood, and DJ's all dumb, just like, screaming dumb. And they were like, dude, I was howling. So they're like, why'd they hate fatherhood? I was like, I don't know, because it was just corny and cheese, but bro, shit is true, cuz. Shit is true, cuz. Try it out.
I believe you, dude.
It's wild.
We watched a movie that was pretty heavy for you.
Which one, dude?
Was it Me, Earl?
Me, Earl. Oh, shit, dude. That one was heavy.
Me, Earl?
And the Dying Girl.
Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl.
Really? Well, I remember.
I mean, I didn't cry during it.
No, but you
Because I'm emotionally scarred and broken and unable to cry at this point. But there are a couple movies that make me in my feels. That was
Such
one of
as?
them. Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl.
What else?
Due to the situation. Let's see. Not a movie, but the end of a TV show where I was like, man, I might cry right now.
Whoa.
It was
Lost.
no.
Survivor.
Yeah. Dude,
all
it was
the others.
alone.
He's like, the tribe has spoken.
Damn.
You are the one survivor. No, it was the end of like season 4 of New Girl.
I never finished New
Where
Girl. I
the
only
friends
watched
are
season 1.
moving away, and all of a sudden they have Head and the Heart playing like Rivers and Roads. I was like, damn.
Jeez. That does feel like feels, dude.
Sean caught me crying at a concert once.
Just like in a bathroom or in a corner? Like, what do you mean?
No, with thousands of people around me.
So he just looked over and you guys
I'm just like tearing up happy tears. I was so happy.
Who was it?
It was Odessa. We were at a
Odessa.
festival in Vegas.
That's like okay though. That was the best concert I've ever been
It
to.
was a great concert, man. They put on a good show.
Yeah.
I love that. What movies make you bawl? Dude, obviously Coco. I saw that shit on a plane and I leaked from the face, bro. I don't know what happened.
Coco's a
But
good
apparently
one.
you're more emotional on a plane is what I hear. So that I tell myself every time and I just start crying.
Airplane
bro.
cries, subway cries, bus cries. Dude, they just hit different. You're like you're in the movie. You're the main character at that point. You know?
Oh, it do
That's
feel
wild.
like that, bro.
What about music? Any songs that ever make you cry? Maybe
Dude,
like the
Coldplay Fix You.
Star Spangled Banner.
Every damn
The
time.
Stars-
bro.
Every time.
The national
every
anthem,
damn
brother.
time, brother.
Yeah.
You said "Fix You."
Yeah, by Coldplay.
I
That
remember.
shit
That's
got me.
good.
Yeah, dude. I remember being a Mormon missionary.
No, I didn't listen because I obeyed the rules. You freaking heathen.
You didn't get Jesus to fix you. Yeah, lights will guide you home.
Bro, if you
Home to
ever want to
heaven.
just like get slapped with like a oh damn like kind of song though, it's Jedi Mind Tricks. Dance with the Devil.
Oh
No,
my
that's,
gosh, that's
If I listen to that, I'm like,
a mortal technique.
that's crying. That's crying for
is that
humanity.
Mortal Technique? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's crying
Dance
for
with
If
the
you guys
humanity.
are listening to
for
this
sure.
and you want some homework, if you want to get mentally cracked, if you want to get stretched in your emotions in not a good way,
in
go
the
listen to
worst way.
in the worst way.
Go
This is
listen
M.
to
Night
that.
Shyamalan if M. Night Shyamalan worshipped Lucifer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The twist.
Yeah.
Dude, it is.
Go listen to Dance with the Devil by Immortal Technique. Dude, I listened to that way too young. I was like 14.
I know, me too.
By the end of it, I was like, I need to wash my soul with Dawn.
It's like I need to read the Book of Mormon.
I need to re-baptize. That shit is crazy. No, songs don't make me cry as much. They definitely give me chills. They get me hype.
There's one song
never,
that
like-
makes me tear up, and it's a song that once you learn about like what it is, it's so crazy. It's Imogen Heap's Hide and Seek. Do you ever learn about the meaning of that song? Dude, first of all, that song is a great song. Regardless of Saturday Night Live and the OC, from
They ruined
which I
it, I'm
think
not
it
gonna lie.
like it did like I don't know. I love that skit, but Imogen Heap, did you know she went to Juilliard? She's like
did
classically
not,
trained.
dude.
Anyway, Hide and Seek is just about like her parents getting divorced and her as a child playing hide and seek with her parents who left.
Damn.
Bro, you're going to make me start crying.
And yeah, dude, I'm trying to hit you personally, dog.
yeah.
And the whole Hatch clan.
We're all crying. We don't even know why. Like, all my siblings are like, what the f- what's going on? I feel a disturbance in the force.
Dude, the lyrics are like what did she say? Crop circles in the carpet.
Yeah.
That's basically when they went back to the house to clean it out, and they were like taking off furniture from the floor, and it was like the house was just this empty shell of what used to be their family, and it was like all the furniture making the imprints on the carpet and dusty something hang on walls. It's basically like the picture frames, and like they remove that, and it's like all
Damn,
the
3
shapes
a.m.
of like their
podcast,
family
we tell
picture. It's
scary
insane,
stories,
dude.
funny
Yeah.
stories, and depressing ass stories, bro.
I've shed a tear to that song. Since
I
I've
have
learned about
one
that.
though that like I came close to tearing up for all the right reasons though. I was on a drive through the mountains and John Denver comes on. Not the one you would think. It was Annie's song. And then all of a sudden I come around this bend and it opens up to just the mountains in front of me. I was like,
Really?
Come back in there. I'm not going to cry.
Dude, I'm proud of you, my guy.
Yeah, damn,
proud
that's
of you.
crazy. That's the
It
most
was a
emotion I've ever
beautiful
seen.
sight.
I shed a tear on a drive once. It was driving Big Sur.
On the way to the ER? When your mom touched your pee-pee?
I'm coming around the point of the
ambulance?
mountain. I'm in the ambulance, like hitting my inhaler.
This is so pretty. It took my breath away.
Y'all ever cried mid albuterol? No, it was on what is it? The PCH Highway 101, like
Ooh.
around Big Sur, and
That's
like
gorgeous down
this
there.
is this place is gorgeous. Like it was like
Not
sunset.
right now.
Yeah, not
It's
not
getting
right
blasted.
Yeah.
now. Yeah, dude. But just wow, another OC reference. Just is it the OC? What Phantom Planet? We've been on the one driving in the sun.
You cried then thinking about that? I respect
Oh,
it.
now
I
you're cry
respect
shaming
it.
me.
Yeah, why are you crying shaming now, dog?
Damn, loser. I cried to Coco.
It's because he's a dad.
Just
He
kidding.
thinks he's better, bro.
Yeah. Come on, elevate your crying. No, I'm just kidding. That's valid. I love that. Oh, dude, you want to hear how weird me and my cousins were as children? You know who Trans-Siberia Orchestra is?
Yes.
They have some intense songs. And when you're 10, that shit is the most intense thing you've ever heard in your life. You know what I mean? So we were sitting in the tiny little office with the shitty Dell computer, and we were playing that over the shitty Dell computer speakers, and it was just hitting us in such a way. We were all like experiencing emotions we never experienced because we're 10.
Yeah,
And
it's like final boss music.
oh yeah, and there's no boss in the room. We're just sitting there alone.
It's you.
With our
You're the boss.
Our emotions are our boss.
you.
Yeah. And so we get the bright idea. We're like, oh my gosh, go get a cup of water. So someone sneaks out of the office, gets a cup of water, brings it back. And then we're like, go call your older sister into the office. And we called the older sister. When she walked in, we all had put water in our eyes and we were pretending to cry. And we wanted to look cool, like we were getting affected by the songs. And she walked in, she looked around and she was like, what the hell is going on? And all of us were like this, like we're posed in the corner like this, like...
Oh man,
shameful. I've done so many things. I'm so shameful. They keep me up at night.
there was one when I experienced death for the first time in middle school. It was my great grandmother who I was really close with, and I had my Sony CD player, and I was listening
like the
to
wrap around the behind the heads.
yeah, and I was listening to Keen, Somewhere Only We Know.
Oh, dude.
That one hit. All of those 2000 songs hit. Hoobastank.
Oh, the reason.
The Reason.
Damn. Superman or whatever. 3 Doors Down.
In the
Dude,
end.
Dash
Rip.
In the
Emo.
end. Oh, Linkin Park.
Emo got big in the 2000s, so it was like Dashboard Confessional, and they're actually trying to make you cry. You know what I mean?
Vindicated, dude.
Fun times.
When you're
Crying
depressed, what are your habits when you guys are depressed? Are there any like special habits besides maybe just like being a piece of shit lying in bed all day or like binging Netflix? Like for me, it's like sitting in the shower for like an hour in the dark. Sometimes I'll have like my light on, like I'll just like sit in the shower, dude. It's a good healing process.
DJ's mom's like, this fucking water bill is too damn high.
She's like, it says you took 2-hour showers for the last 6 weeks.
Get on Prozac. It's cheaper. I saw a TikTok that kind of me up, and I don't know if I agree with it, but a girl said she was talking to her therapist. And her therapist is like,
I thought that was a punchline. Therapy.
No, she was like,
BetterHelp.
She was like, how do you cope? What do you do? And she's like, do you take hot showers like when you're not feeling good? She's like, oh yeah, all the time. And she's like, are they really hot? Oh yeah. They like burn the skin, man. It's like, I love it. I love when like my skin's like almost peeling. And then she's like, and then my therapist kind of leaned back and smiled. And she said, it's crazy how some forms of self-harm have become so widely accepted. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I take the hottest showers all the time. And I was like, bro, am I just self-harming all the like?
Bro, you're self-harming.
I gotta fix that. It's just another thing. Put it on the list. I gotta fix.
Yeah,
I'm stressed. I gotta go take a shower.
One of our dream sponsors is actually BetterHelp.
Yeah, because I need their services.
Yeah,
We do need their services.
But maybe even more so, I think our listeners need their services.
Yeah, after our
damn
terrifying
stories.
Yeah,
You ever see Baphomet? Subscribe for 20% off. Speak to a therapist
Yeah.
about it, you know?
yeah, yeah. Don't let the demons haunt you.
Ever had
Talk to a
sleep
therapist.
paralysis? Better help.
Yeah,
It's there for you.
Exactly.
Dude, it's built in. We should start stories.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
Addressing some comments from chat, I see a lot of your songs in there. Kermit the Frog, Hey Mama from Kanye West. That's a good one.
Take it away, Shiny boy.
All right. So for all of you listeners, this is an audio podcast, so we're going to stay away from the chat for a little bit. Like if you're just here for the stories, you can skip ahead by looking at the link below. So I'm going to lead us off tonight, and I wanted to kind of put together a Utah 3 episode.
Utah 3!
Let's go!
Utah, people working together. Utah, what a great place to be.
Utah. Okay, so we've got a couple of different stories across all three of us now. Randomly and strangely, the stories that I came up with just all happen to be in and around the canyons. So my first story here is actually going to be about Mount Timpanogos. And Ren, I got a picture here for you. Everyone can see this picture I took myself. So
Hot boy.
just wanted to share that with you.
We're covering most of it.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's
Now,
sick. Real quick,
Beautiful Timpanogos. It looks over all of Utah Valley where Ren grew up here, and then the three of us have spent almost all of our adult lives in
a
this
decade.
valley.
yeah,
And how Utah
10 years now.
how Utah is there's like one main freeway through Utah, and most of the population is in it's Utah Valley, and then like
And
Salt
then
Lake.
Salt Lake Valley.
Yeah, so it's like all along this road, and there's like huge mountains to the right, and Sean just showed a photo of them, and then there's like a ton of mountain range that goes to the right, and then there's a big valley, and then on the other side there's another mountain range. And so the freeway cuts that in the middle, and all along these mountains, there's huge mountains and there's canyons that you can go up through. And you can go up through one in Salt Lake to get to Park City. You can go through one, and it's like the most beautiful scenic drive. But we were talking about it before the podcast. It's crazy in Utah. You can be like in the city in Salt Lake. Within 15 minutes, you are in the mountains. You are in the wilderness. No reception, trees, cougars, mountain lions. It's like,
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
I'm all about the cougars.
yeah. So
But anyways,
It's a real nice perk to Utah
it
to be
definitely
able
is.
to get off grid so quickly and so easily.
Especially during the summer. Like I can't think of a weekend where I'm not like doing something out in the mountains, exploring, hiking, kayaking, whatever it is. But there's also a lot of haunted history that surrounds these mountains and canyons and creepy people. And we're going to be covering as much of that as we can.
Yes, sir.
So the first one I wanted to start with here is Timpanogos. And I don't know if either of you know, but there's actually a legend surrounding Mount Timpanogos. So the legend goes that the Ute people were suffering from a drought and famine years and years ago. And the mountain god required a sacrifice for the famine and drought to end. Now, the gods demanded this sacrifice, and the chieftain's daughter, whose name was Utana,
no way.
according to legend, volunteered herself to be the sacrifice.
I volunteer as tribute. That's what it comes to mind.
I volunteer. Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. On her way to this sacrifice that she is going to be the victim of, a Native American warrior by the name of Red Eagle comes across her and falls in love with her instantly. He's like, this is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And he convinces her that he is the god. And that her duty is actually to marry him.
We love a classic love story.
We love a classic Provo
manipulative.
story.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's so reminiscent of the Mormon dating scene. So many
I
times
prayed and I
Mormons
was
be
told-
telling people, "I had a dream, we got married."
Oh, yeah. I've heard that. I've had a dream. I've heard I prayed and was told that you're supposed to marry me.
Gosh,
Rough.
Love those. Oh, yeah.
So anyways, this is what Red Eagle did. He pioneered the way, if you will, for all of them in Provo. And he takes her away with him. Not long after, she somehow discovers that Red Eagle is lying to her and that he's not a god. It was probably in communication with her family that the drought and the famine was not over. So she leaves early in the morning while Red Eagle is still asleep, goes to the top of Mount Timpanogos and throws herself off of the mountain, obviously dying. Red Eagle finds her, takes her body, and goes to Timpanogos Cave to bury her body within the mountain. And the drought ended shortly after that. There's a stalagmite that's supposed to be the heart of Timpanogos or Utana. Now,
That's a great story.
it's
I like
actually
that.
I was like, this is actually a story, and I hadn't heard it in 10 years. So that was really fun to come across. Now, also, Mount Timpanogos Cave is supposed to be haunted to this day. Mm-hmm. There's supposed to be, and it's part of a tour. So like there's a little like visitor center right outside the cave. You'll take the little walk up and they'll open the door. You'll go in and the tour guides or the park rangers at one point will have everyone flip off their lights so that everyone can experience the darkness within the mountain. Now that's something they'll do with the tourists, but that's also a challenge that they do amongst themselves. The challenge is that as the park rangers by themselves after hours will go into the cave, close the door, go in, flick off their light, and see who can stay in there the longest. Mm-hmm. Allegedly, while they're in there, they've heard people running at them or wailing within the cave. Now, could that potentially be people messing with them? Maybe. But also, there's a story of one park ranger who led a tour. It was the last tour of the day. They get out of the cave, they close the door and lock it, and they're walking down the like paved pathway back towards the little visitor center, and they hear a knocking at the door. Now the tour guide, the park ranger, thinking, "Oh shoot, I just left somebody in the cave and locked them in," runs back to the door, opens it, and there's no one there. Those are the kind of things that'll happen even to this day in Mount Timpanogos Cave. And that same haunting or whatever it is may be affecting the entire American Fort Canyon, which I will let someone else share that story. That was where I was going to go right after this.
Is that me?
I think that's you, dude.
Bro, we had a list of 30 links. Each link has like 50 stories, and somehow Sean, DJ, and I found the same story, bro. So we all got to recording tonight. We're like, "You're covering this?" It's like, yeah, you. Astronomical how that happened. It happened. Sean's been gracious enough to let me cover it. So we got a really crazy source from our research team. Someone on the research team, Pack Attack, shout out. On Discord, we have a research team private room that if you want to be a part of, message us on IG or Discord. Anyway, he sent us a link to the BYU database for like folklore and legends of Utah. And it's a huge...
that they've been collecting since the 50s.
It's crazy. There's so many stories in here. Religious, non-religious, like Native American related. They have all these like subsections of stories. It's
down to like recipes. Database. Recipes and like quilt patterns.
I saw jokes. Jokes is a thing. Like old Utah jokes. Yeah, dude.
And the fact that we all came across this same story.
And they're transcriptions too. Like they're all, most of them are transcriptions.
So like first-hand accounts.
Recorded conversations with people telling these stories, and then they put it out in official documents. So great resource.
So this is one of those stories, and it takes place in American Fort Canyon. And it's about a group of friends who traveled up the canyon and they encountered something insane. So there was two guys recounting this story. There's a group of friends, they're hanging out, and one of them's like, "Yo, didn't you guys have something crazy happen up the canyon?" And the two guys who were seconds before, like super happy and jovial, both kind of clam up and get quiet. And they kind of get goaded and coaxed into telling the story. And finally, their names are Grant and Brian. And finally, let's just say Grant. Grant finally caves in and goes, okay, I'll tell you what happened, but if I get emotional, I might have to stop. And whereas the vibe of the group of friends was like fun, it got serious. So Grant starts to tell this story. If you enter into the canyon from the American Fork Way, there is a really long stretch of straight road that goes up into the canyon, and then it forks off and starts like curving and winding. And at that point, the roads get pretty narrow. And he said, Grant and Brian and a group of friends decided one night that they were bored. They wanted to go find something, maybe something spooky or get creeped out. And they decided they're going to go up the canyon. And they enter into the canyon on the American Fork side, and they go up that long straight road, and they climb higher and higher. And this is the very same road that we climbed when we started 3 a.m. out in the forest. And they climb and they go back on the switchbacks, and they go near the cliff on the right, and they come around, and there's a fork. You can go left up to Tibble Fork Reservoir, or you can go right and continue on Alpine Loop. It's a big group of friends. There's a lot of them, enough to pack out the van that they're driving. So this wide van turns right. They're going to go up to Tibble Fork and hang out. There's like a parking lot. You can get out, chill, skip rocks or whatever have you. They turn right. They start climbing the road up to Tibble Fork Canyon. When up above, they haven't reached Tibble Fork. It's before that. Up ahead on the road, on the side, they see something. They start to slow down because they want to make sure they don't hit anything. Maybe it's a deer, elk, something crossing the road. And they get closer and closer, and they can see the silhouette of what looks like 3 people leaning over a fourth. Immediately, I've been up that canyon. There's cyclists. I've seen cyclists get hit. Like, it's scary. So immediately they're wondering, is someone hurt? What's going on? They slow down. We need to check out. And it's hard to describe this feeling, but I'm gonna bring something up that will, hopefully you guys will relate. But as they pull up and they kind of get their eyes on what actually is happening, pure terror. Do you guys remember when we were in Honolulu and we saw that like night marcher, and it's like we pulled up slowly, and just the feeling we got when we looked out the window, and I screamed and DJ had to gas it and like go. You know that feeling where it's like you slow down and you look and you finally realize what it is? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's what happened to them. They pull up on the 3 figures of the human, or the 3 people who they thought was helping a third, and they realize very quickly several things are wrong. These are way too big to be humans. So they look like humans, but they are all 7 feet plus. And they're leaning over a 4th human, but they're not helping. Each of them have pieces of the body, and they are in the middle of consuming it.
Hell no.
The figures were all black. They all turn to the light of the van, and they make eye contact with everyone in that van. They said their eyes shone in the dark. They looked like humans, but something wasn't right. Immediately, Grant, who's driving, stops the car. And as he stops the van, all 3 of the figures start walking towards them. So he backs up, but like I said, narrow roads. He starts trying to make a pinpoint turn on this small road. And as he's doing this in his Scooby-Doo ass van, they see the figures now go into a full-on sprint. So he has maybe 1-2 more turns, and he's turning, and they're getting closer and closer. And as he's
Sprint
just
still bipedal, or
they're sprinting.
do we know
at
if
him.
it's like all 4s?
Oh, if they're running on all 4s.
He doesn't mention if it's all 4s. All that he says is they start bolting towards the car so unbelievably, inhumanly fast. So he doesn't mention 4 feet, but they start running top speed at the car. As he's about to make his last turn and clear like the cliff so that he can turn all the way around, they hear slams into the side of the van. They've jumped on the van. They're speeding, careening down this mountain. They're taking turns. They need to get to the straightaway. They're going dangerously fast. Everyone is screaming in the car. They can hear someone on the van and someone on the side of the van. The person or the thing that's on top of the van is slamming something into the top. Everyone inside of the van is screaming. Everyone is crying. Grant's telling the story and he's choked up. Like you can tell he's reliving it, and he's almost gone like blank behind the eyes as he's recounting this to them. Bro. At one point, the van door starts to open. And the person sitting close of it grabs it. And as they grab onto it, it's yanked so violently they almost fall out of the van. Also, Grant's going around corners top speed. So everyone in the back of the van grabs onto that person, grabs onto the door, and they pull as hard as humanly possible. As they're pulling, Grant whips around a corner, and whatever was holding onto it, like, is flung off. Maybe 2 or 3 more turns until they're at the straightaway where they can just get out of the canyon. The passenger window shatters. The thing that's on top of the van has punched through, and they can see them grabbing in, trying to grab the passenger. Grant said, everyone's in the back screaming. People are praying to God as hard as they can. He said,
audibly.
Yeah. Not in their hearts. Out loud.
This is audible.
Yeah. He said he's never been more frightened in his life. As they come to the mouth of the canyon, and they're sure that like whatever's on top of the car is going to reach in and grab whoever it can, they exit the canyon and everything stops. They said whatever was on the car seemed to no longer be there. Whatever was chasing them has stopped. They all looked out the window. They watched the rearview mirror. No figures. They said almost it felt as if once they left the canyon, they had like reached some invisible barrier that maybe this thing couldn't like pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just said instantly. It was as if they could like breathe again. They come out of the canyon. And Grant
Don't like that.
finishes this story, and everyone around is just silent. And what's scarier is this canyon is like, we're so intimately familiar with it. Like Sean and I, DJ, we've walked through this canyon at night with no lights. It's like we've gone on these paths. It's so dumb to think. It's so crazy. But that was Grant's story. That was Brian's story and what they encountered. And this is like documented in the BYU database here.
Bro.
It's crazy that they like stop at the where they did.
The mouth
like
of
at the
the
city
canyon?
limits. Real Twilight ass shit.
Yeah.
You know. The wolves couldn't leave the forest.
The Cullens are like, no.
Yeah, they turn around and like, where you at? Where you been, Loca?
Almost got you, Locas. That's so funny.
Adios,
Anyway,
Locas.
that's the Skinwalker encounter in American Fort Canyon. So
Right.
next time you go up there, just, maybe don't take a van. Don't try to hit the 30-point turns. And if you see a group of people huddled over a fourth, just get out of there. Back up.
Turn right around.
Yeah. I have one more short one. Can I share it real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Please.
I love this one. There's something that is so attractive or just like heartwarming about small town or urban legends. You know what I mean? Where it's like, dude, that's the haunted park. And if you sit on the bench at night and whistle and call out Nicky Bobby's name, he'll come and lick your toes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's something that's
Yes.
like so charming about them. I just love them. I love hearing those.
Not
Charming,
me
but
saying
getting
his
your
name over and
toes
over
licked.
again.
Yeah. So this one, do you guys remember? I've shared several stories from this listener before named Sierra.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
the one who said she was binging our podcast during COVID, and she was helping her mom with a flower delivery, and she got out of the car. It was snowing. Everything's muffled and quiet. Fresh snow, not a footprint in sight. It's like the best. And she had to get out of her van. She walked to the front. And when she turned around and looked back at the van, there was another set of footprints to the right of her. And she's like, those were not there. you remember those?
Yeah.
She also shared the Brigham City.
Oh, yeah.
Like when the guy came out with the machete. Anyway, this is one she shared about growing up. And this was the urban legend in her town. And her mom's fondness for like scary things. Okay. So she said when she was little, her mom would take her and her siblings or friends, I can't remember, and she would take them to this bend in the road. And if you waited there until it got dark, you can see in the road a very distinct indent in the road. And it looks like an item. So the legend goes, there was a boy who lived near this road. And when he was young, he was hit by a car while he rode his bike. Fortunately, he survived. But unfortunately, this meant he had to live his entire life paralyzed in a wheelchair. This really affected the family. It changed a lot of their dynamic. They were a very active family. So they had to do everything they could to kind of accommodate this new lifestyle. And that included mom and dad would do their best to take little Johny out on walks every single day. We'll call the dad David and the boy Johny. So every day they would take him out on these walks. They would go around the block, get sunshine, get fresh air, and Johny absolutely loved it. He lived for these walks. It's the only time he really felt alive. On the other hand, the dad, David, soon grew tiresome of these walks. Day after day, grind. It was such a nuisance. He had to do this. The thoughts, it would get harder and harder. Oh my gosh, I have to take Johny out again. Years go by, and Johny is now 30. So 20 plus years of doing this. At this point, Dad is super tired of taking Johny. He loved him, but he did not love the extra work, especially as he was getting older and it was getting harder to take care of his full adult paralyzed son. One day, David is walking Johny around the block and sees a car coming down the road.
This bastard.
In a bad state of mind, in exhaustion, in desperation, he decided to end it for Johny, pushing his wheelchair in front of the car, killing Johny.
Ew.
Bro.
What an...
So Sierra said, this is the story my mom would tell us as we sat there, me and my brothers in the car, and the sun would go down and you can see. Okay, this part I don't understand. So Sierra, if you hear this, you're going to have to elaborate.
Okay.
She said, this is about 10 minutes where she grew up in Bountiful, Utah. Her mom would take them there at night and tell them the story, freak them all out. And she said, you can still see the wheelchair smashed into the road when the street light hits it just right. So according to her, there's like pieces of the wheelchair somehow still in the asphalt or something that you can still see to this day. The end.
Oh, shit, that's it.
Bro, I read that and I was just howling, bro. I was like, damn, Johny got shit luck, bro.
Johny got boned.
Yeah.
Oh, so sad. What happened to David? Everyone knew. And
I just
like,
ended it, fool. No one questioned him, and he lived out his day happy without having to go on walks.
A real ejecto.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh shit.
Paul Walker. That's not funny.
No, it's not.
Anyway, that's me tonight.
Damn, bro. Was there like a lesson to be learned by that? Like her mom telling her that, though? That's what I'm curious of.
I don't know. Like, don't be a nuisance to your parents, bro.
Or else I'll push you in front of her car.
Don't get paralyzed. Yeah.
All
anyway,
right.
That's me tonight, guys.
Thanks, Charles.
Yes, sir.
Going along with some of like the history that kind of helps build some of the suspense behind these areas that we live around and have explored frequently. Going back even further, and if there's any historians out there that can correct any of this, because this might not be 100%, but I mean, when the first pioneers and they were Mormon settlers when they arrived to Utah, headed by Brigham Young, then president, of the church,
Brother Brigham.
He apparently there were some Native Americans. I don't know if they were Utes, but there were some natives who lived in the PG area. And there's a little canyon in PG, Pleasant Grove, which is where Jay's journal takes place. And the pep rally Phantom, the haunted school with the bunkers and the underground tunnels built pre-World War II. There were some natives that lived there. When was this? 1800s?
Yeah.
Mid 1800s, maybe?
50s,
Late-
60s.
Yeah. And there were some natives there who allegedly stole some of the Mormon settlers' horses. So as a response, Brigham sent like a posse to kind of like handle the situation. And the way the situation was handled was pretty violently. And I believe they murdered all the men and then took all the women and children and took care of them. Like actually,
The white settlers murdered all the indigenous men.
yeah. So this is just like a neighboring canyon in the same valley. And I think that area is called Battle Creek.
I think that's what it's used to be called.
Used to be before Pleasant Grove used to be Battle Creek, and then they
talk
covered
about
up.
a rebrand.
Yeah, they covered it up.
It's like Battle
Pleasant
Creek. This is
Grove.
the site of a massacre.
Yeah.
And then they're like, let's just call this shit Pleasant Grove.
And
But dude, talk about like ripe for curses and hauntings.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There was a story about like, so there's a park in PG called Kiwanis Park. There's another one in Provo, not that Kiwanis Park.
I was so confused
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I knew the Provo one.
Yeah, the Provo one's famous. All the BYU students hang out there,
Go make out.
play sports,
Go derf.
go make out,
Blue ball each other.
soak and whatnot. And Kiwanis Park in PG, there's we came across just a little blog. It's really brief, but the writer of the blog is talking about his wife and how she wanted, like, her New Year's resolution was to go hiking every year or every week. And they lived in the area and they're like, I want to go hiking by PG Canyon and like Kiwanis Park. And she'd usually get her sisters to come with, but they all refused because they're like, we've been up there. And some of them had claimed to see like skinwalkers there. So looking into like the history, it would only make sense why there would be skinwalkers hanging around there. But yeah, this is more just on the area that we're around. Further up northeast, going to like Skinwalker Ranch, there's a quick little blurb coming from a one Hannah. I don't know if we want to say the last name, but Hannah's talking about Skinwalker Ranch. And Skinwalker Ranch is in the middle of nowhere. So I believe Hannah is staying at Skinwalker Ranch. She doesn't say why or how many people are there. But the longer they're there, she's noticing that things are strange, and the caretakers of Skinwalker Ranch are getting a little nervous, and to the point where after a few days they're telling them, we don't think it's very safe here, so we would advise you guys pack up and leave maybe in the morning or as soon as possible. And at one point, she overhears a conversation about how their cattle there are just getting swooped up. Some of them are being found mutilated. A bunch of them are just missing, and it's taking a toll on, I guess, their revenue.
Their livelihood.
Like they're losing tons of money because of it, and the last thing they need is taking care of guests. But she's listening to the stories from these caretakers, and they're talking about how at the edge of the property there's a gorge, like some ravine, and they can see something at the bottom of it. And they're watching it and it's not moving. So they're wondering, is it one of the cows maybe? It fell. And they decide to traverse down into this gorge. And they get closer and closer and they still can't really tell what it is. Finally they get to the bottom. They get to the bottom of this. And this is exactly what she says. It was turned inside out.
Oh.
Kind of like you took their butthole and just folded it inside out.
It's just like full body prolapse.
Dude. This cow.
Pink sleeping bag.
And Everything that was inside was now outside. Guts, intestines, stomach, liver, all of it. That thing didn't become like that from falling.
Usually that's the case.
They identified the cow somehow. They got its dog tags or something.
I recognize that butthole anywhere.
I ain't had nothing out here for there ain't nothing out here for 30 miles. That's not very far. But
Desperate times.
desperate measures. They identified it, and this was like a healthy cow that was fine days previous, you know. Wasn't sick, nothing. I mean, even if it was sick, like
What sickness would do that?
yeah, what sickness would do that? So it was
Imagine if
just
the next pandemic is that, dude.
oh shit.
People
Everyone
just
starts
like,
turning inside out.
That's what I felt like
Anyway.
when we were in Idaho last year, a year ago.
When,
I went to the hospital months after I was in the ICU when we were in Idaho. Remember that?
yeah, dude. Dude, you and Lucy were in an arms race to see who could go to the doctor more.
Oh my gosh, I was dying. I was literally screaming in the cabin.
I was gone already.
Oh, okay,
dude.
I don't know. I think you were gone too, Charles, but I was like
Yeah.
screaming, embarrassing.
Goodness, dude.
Anyway, yeah, short little blurb, but like her just sitting in the listening to this conversation. It's like, where do I go? I'm in the middle of nowhere. Listening to how they found this cow and how it was mutilated. Usually the cow mutilations I hear are like almost like clean, like holes blasted through their side or something, you know, or through their neck.
Not necessarily.
Which is still
inverted.
crazy, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But
Lightsabered.
yeah.
Bro.
Anyway,
Wow.
not much of like a plot to it. It's just like a conversation.
No, it's still
overheard.
super weird.
She eavesdropped. But
Definitely not something you want to run into either.
that was what I found in one of the many stories from that archive.
Yeah.
Fun.
All right. Thank you, DJ. I've got one last one for us.
Hell yeah.
This story I heard from my coworker yesterday. He was told this story from his scoutmaster, and this happened to them. Now, in the 1970s, Utah was the stomping grounds of one Theodore Logan Bundy. Ted
Ew.
Bundy.
I hate that. I hate that you said Theodore Logan Bundy, bro.
That's probably not his name, so we'll go with Ted. Anyways, his scoutmaster is telling him this story, and he says one night, it was the night of like a school dance or something, and he had his date. They decided like halfway through the date, they're like, hey, let's dip. Let's go up Mill Creek Canyon, which is up in Salt Lake. You have several different canyons there. You have Parley's, Mill Creek, Big Cottonwood, Little Cottonwood. So they're like, hey, let's go up Mill Creek Canyon. Let's do a little fire. We'll chill up there.
Mill Creek is the canyon you take to get to Park City?
But that's Parley's.
Oh,
Mill
that's
Creek
Parley's
is
right next to
just south of that one.
Okay.
So they go up and they get to a parking area, and there's like a little trail that leads off of that. They hike up it a little bit to get to a little area where they could do a fire. They start the fire. They're chilling there for a little bit. And all of a sudden he's like, oh, I forgot something down in the car. Let me run and grab it really quick. So he heads down this trail, leaves the light of the campfire on this trail, headed down to the car, and then trips over something there on the trail. After his eyes adjusting to the dark and after kind of regaining his senses, he looks over at what it was, and it was a body. Now, his first reaction was, what the hell? There's just a body here. We've all talked about finding a body out in the woods and what we would do. That's his first reaction. His second reaction is, we have to get out of here. But I can't go back and tell this girl while I'm freaking out. I have to remain calm. So he like gets up, goes back to the campfire, just
Is that
trying
the move?
to save the other person. Maybe I might be with him on that. He's like, hey, actually, let's just get out of here.
Hey, I'm just not feeling it. Let's go.
Yeah. So they start gathering their things, picking up the stuff around the fire. And at one point, he looks up, and just at the edge of the firelight where it gets dark, there's someone standing there watching them. And as that person notices he's watching, he backs away into the darkness. And so at that point, he's like, yeah, no, let's just go. Grabs her, and they head down the trail as quickly as possible, back to their car, speed out of Mill Creek Canyon. He drops her off and immediately calls the cops. The cops head up the canyon, and they don't find anyone or anybody. And unfortunately, there was no like suspect ever caught. But this was the exact time that Ted Bundy had been wandering around. We've told these kinds of stories before. The one up Squaw Peak, or the one, the closest he ever got to being caught.
Yeah.
Or the one where the girl was on a date with him and decides to jump out of the car. We've told those. And when I heard this story, I was like, damn, okay, yeah, no, we have to share this.
Damn, he's doing the same thing in all, like hitting all the canyons.
Yeah, for real. Like that's what he was doing, just going to every single one. And just the imagery is so terrifying to me. You're just the whole edge of the firelight. What you can't see beyond that is what's terrifying. And him just backing away into it. But they all survived except for the body. That was the story.
Let the bodies hit the floor. One of my old coworkers, they had a 7th grade teacher who grew up in Utah, full Ted Bundy fear. He's abducted people. They knew that people were disappearing. Everyone was afraid. She was at the mall that I think he got his victims from.
Oh, damn.
And I think she worked there. She like worked at a food joint or something, and she was closing one night. And she came out of the mall, and her car was parked almost on the opposite end of the parking lot. And there was like 2 lights, like one in the middle and one at the end. And in between, it's just like seas of black. She's terrified because people have already been abducted. I think at this point, someone has been abducted from that mall. And this is in the 70s or 80s or whatever. There's no cell phones. And she's like, I can do it. So she takes off and she goes into the darkness and she makes it through the first valley of dark. And she like makes it to the light in the middle. She takes a second, kind of like looks around, almost like Sean says, like the light of she can just like see like what's in the light of the light, and everything out there is dark. And as she does that, she takes a second to kind of like take everything in. She hears footsteps and they're getting faster. So she starts sprinting to her car. As she's sprinting, she can hear slamming footsteps behind her. Someone is running behind her. She's fumbling for her keys. She reaches her car, and she said just as she gets in and shuts and locks the door, someone slams into the side of the car and starts ripping at the front door.
Holy hell.
Key into the ignition, turns it on, she takes off and leaves. And that story is like, so many people know someone who had a close call with Ted, which is just so crazy. It's weird how like on a national level, Ted Bundy, everyone knows who he is. Mm-hmm. But he has like a really intimate and like he had a really impactful time here in Utah. Like a lot of people have run-ins with him or personal experiences with them. And that was one. I remember hearing that in the middle of my shift. And I was just like listening to this story.
The footsteps, dude.
Yeah.
Yo,
anyway.
I don't have a real good meter for what's attractive, like male wise, a lot of the time.
Dude, neither do I think.
Like a general, because there's like generally most people would agree this dude's attractive.
Yeah,
I'm not very good at that with that meter. So is Ted Bundy attractive?
Nope. Nope.
Yeah. Let's see.
Like rate this fool.
Females.
Rate this guy,
bro.
Is that like a 6 above average?
I would say 4.
I don't think he's ugly. You think he's below average?
I would put him maybe at a 6.
5.
Yeah.
I feel like the only woman right now that can speak.
No. Let me tell you, Ren.
The facial hair helps. It does.
Yeah, him without facial hair, big
what-
difference.
We're getting a little scarier.
Dude, he looks straight up in that one with the girl.
His wife.
That one, he looks like Jack Nicholson, dude.
Kind of, yeah.
Busting through the door.
I guess
Here's
yeah.
Teddy.
It depends on like what time you get him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I've heard about Ted Bundy that he was like almost a shapeshifter. His
Oh,
physical
yeah.
appearance would change so dramatically, people would like be freaked out.
So,
But you could see
but everyone talks about Ted Bundy's riz. Like, Ted Bundy had like crazy pull, you know?
I feel
What about him? Like, he told good jokes? Was he a funny dude? Like, was this guy just hilarious? If he's not hot,
He was pretty funny, bro. He was a pretty funny guy.
because
No,
I
I'm just
feel
kidding.
like probably the ambience, because like he would go to bars and obviously flirt. I think he was probably like his personality really probably helped aid
charming.
that. Charming, exactly. Because like girls, the way a lot of times we look at people, like a lot of times physical appearance, like we'll put that aside if like
Ugh.
they can keep a conversation or they
Yeah.
good with banter or anything. So
That's what I was saying. If
Makes
he's not
sense,
super
yeah.
hot, then
that probably
He's
helped
got-
a lot, yes.
yeah.
He's got the riz.
He's got the
He's
riz,
got
bro.
the
Yeah.
Riz. Oh my gosh.
He's
Is
like,
this
dude.
episode Ted Bundy's Riz?
Yeah.
What the
Would you like to check out my cave?
would you like to check out
you
my
wanna go?
buggy?
You want to get into my beetle?
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, that was another
pulled
tactic
more
he
than-
pulled, right? Like his broken down car or something.
Oh yeah, he would
Yeah,
add,
he'd wear-
hey, could
he'd
you help
wear-
me out?
Yeah, he'd wear like a cast and be like, "Can you help me take this to my car and shit?" Anyway,
Damn.
I mean, it was the '70s in Utah, so
So he was nice to everybody, too.
yeah.
Like
So anyway, beware
respectful.
of nice people.
Yeah, screw nice people. I mean,
I don't know. What do we learn? What do we learn from that, DJ? What do we take from it?
He's just made it hard for my boy Sean whenever Sean's on like Hinge or Bumble. And like, it's like, you got a super like. And Sean's like, oh, hell yeah, super like. Let me open up. Yo, you have any scary stories?
Dude, what's the term for anti-riz?
that's what I got.
Yeah, Ruz, dude.
Rose, bro.
I don't know. Guys, tonight's episode's been fun. We are going to close our regular episode. But before we do, let's cover one thing for our Patreons this week. You guys down?
Yeah, please.
Let's do it.
Please.
So Sean, thank you for supplying the subject. DJ, thank you for the story. That was fun. There's going to be more Utah episodes coming. We need to crack into some of these things.
Oh, for
This was
sure.
pretty quickly put together. So
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being here. Let's get into our bonus story.
Okay.
Do you remember how I brought up AI earlier?
Yeah.
Have you guys ever heard of AI cryptids?
No.
You haven't?
No.
Like
Well, you're
cryptids
gonna watch
that live specifically in the AI world?
Bro, they're being created.
What?
And we are going to watch a documentary, and I want to get your reaction. It's a 20-minute documentary. We could either watch it on 1 speed or 1.5 or something.
Let's watch it on one. And then we
Okay.
can speed it up.
But here what's crazy is this is happening right now in AI, and it's like, we'll just watch. I can't like articulate why this is so creepy
I'm excited.
to me.
I'm
Yeah,
excited.
do you know tulpa? Let's talk about tulpas.
Yeah.
Do you remember what a tulpa is?
Refresh.
Yeah,
My
I
memory.
remember
A
the
tulpa
term,
is a
but-
cryptid or an entity where it's like, if you think about it enough, like so many people grow up learning about, let's say like Bigfoot, that enough of us have thought about and put thought towards it that we like create it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or
It's like
you have an
confirmation
imaginary-
bias, kind of.
Kind of, but it's like, it's the idea of like, if enough people put enough mental energy towards it, it brings it into fruition. So like if you have an imaginary friend that you believe wholeheartedly is real, eventually it can kind of become real. Do you know what I mean? So kind of that logic or that, I don't know, that process applies here. So let's start this.
Okay. Thank you for supporting us week after week, year after year. But with that, trust your gut, watch your back, I think is how it goes.
Be careful out there.
And Charles didn't say it, but by love you, be safe.
I love you. Be safe.
See you next week.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of 3 a.m. If you want to support us, visit our Patreon where patrons have access to exclusive content. If you're not able to support us monetarily, don't worry. This episode is on us. You can still rate and review us on whatever platform you listen to us on. It really does go a long way. You can also follow us on social media. Our handle everywhere, including Patreon, is the 3 a.m. pod. Finally, do you have any scary stories? If so, submit them to our website, the3ampodcast.com. We love any audio or visual aids that can help bring your stories to life. So file uploads are welcome with your written submissions. We're anxious and excited to hear from you.